be honest. Yeah, it really
Yeah,
scares me. So
it does scare you. So we're
uh,
just having a little off the cuff chat with Bex. How do you want people to know you? Is it Rebecca Harrington?
no, Bex is perfect. Yeah, Bex.
We know
Yeah,
you as Bex. So
yeah.
Bex is she's one of our master spiritual life coach and energy psychology graduates, and you graduated last year,
Yeah.
summer last year.
Yes. Well, it feels,
You
I just get
before,
confused where we are now. So we're in January 25. So yes, last year. I think it was January last year, actually.
was
I
it?
think that's when
Wow,
I actually completed. I think so.
goodness,
I think so. That rings a bell. Yeah.
time has flown.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
hasn't
So you
it?
were in corporate
Yeah.
world, weren't
Yeah.
you? Corporate world, pregnant. Were you pregnant or just had your baby at the time when you joined the course? Tell us what was going on for you when
So,
you joined.
so when I joined the course, yeah, so when I joined the course, so prior to this like new life that I'm creating, I was in corporate for 15 years. I thrived and loved it, and I don't have a bad word to say about corporate. Like I absolutely loved my job and I built a career out of it. So I went to London when I was 18, went in at the entry level of, finance assistant and just worked my way up. I was a PA, I was an EA, I was an ops manager, and then my final role was an operations director. So I used to mentor women, my team. A lot of my job was actually HR, looking after people, and helping them progress and turn their job into a career. So, and that was something I loved that side of my job. So then I fell pregnant. I had a beautiful baby girl called India, and I was on maternity leave. And while I was on maternity leave, I just felt this there was a change in me. There was a, maybe I don't want to go back to that corporate world anymore. But I don't want to do nothing, but I want to redirect my skills. I want to use them in a different way. And I was really passionate about working with women and helping them. I know the pressures of corporate world as a woman, working, predominantly around a boardroom table of men, those kind of things. And I know it can be hard. It can be tough as a woman in business and in corporate. So like both. So I decided that I'm quite a spiritual girl as well. So I'm a spiritual girl who's also just really like practical and hands-on and likes to get stuff done. So I kind of have that, yeah, those two elements kind of combined within me. That's kind of where I sit. And so when I was looking for a course, so I basically had an opportunity to take voluntary redundancy, which I never foresaw, which is a big part of my teachings now is like we get so caught up in the how things are going to happen. And like when I think back to how I finally was able to leave corporate, I could never have foreseen that. Had to trust the process, had to trust that things were working out as they're supposed to. And that happened for me. That was amazing. And I was like, great, okay, what am I going to do now? Because I'm not going to go and get another corporate job. That doesn't feel right to me right now. That doesn't feel aligned to who I am today. And that's really what I like to pay attention to. It's not necessarily what we should be doing. It's like who am I today? Remembering who we are. And that was the process I was going through. So I then decided, right, go and do a coaching qualification because then you're going to be able to set your own business up and you're going to be able to work with women and so on. But I'm spiritual, so I don't want just a boring fuddy-duddy coaching qualification. And I don't
What's
want to just have this corporate like view of it and like go and sit around this table, and that wasn't for me. I also didn't want it to be purely spiritual because again, I've got the blend of two in me. That's how I work, that's how I thrive, and that's how I'll serve my clients. So I searched, and then I came across Soul Awakening Academy, which gave me that beautiful blend because the beginning part, and I have to think back here because like it feels like a while ago that I did it, but the beginning part of that diploma is really heavy on the coaching skills, really heavy on how to hold a session, the sort of questions you're going to ask, open questions, and there's loads of great videos that you can watch that are going to show you examples and really guide you through how to hold a session and how to show up as a coach, how to be as a coach, and what that really means. We're not necessarily, as coaches, we're not there to just like talk at people and tell them our opinions. It's about guiding them to find the answers within them, because ultimately we all have everything we need, but a coach can draw that out of you and it gets the best of you. And that's what I loved finding out, because I didn't necessarily know that to begin with. And your program really delivers that really well. So there's that, but then you then lead into all of the tools that you have in your tool belt, and diving into values and limiting beliefs and behaviors and personas, shadows, all those things. And which was the bit I wanted as well. Like, I didn't just want to know how to show up in a session and how to ask open questions. Like, that wasn't, it was more than that. I wanted to delve with what was going on in our inner world, because I'm very much into manifestation, and I wanted to learn how to sort of bring all of that together so that the women I show up for get that from me. They get to do things that feel really aligned to their soul's truth, to their purpose. And that was a great blend. That's where Soul Awakening Academy came in for me. And it was, honestly, like, not everywhere is offering that into such a comprehensive degree. And for me, that's why it worked really well.
Yeah, and I'm like you, Bex. I'm very spiritual, but I'm super practical. If this does not land with the client, if this is not practical for the client, if they can't understand it and use it and it can't be a benefit, there's no point sitting there saying, "Oh, I can see a purple aura," or,
Yeah,
grandma's giving you a rose. Like, that's not what the
yeah.
course is about. When people think spiritual, I think they just don't really know what it means. And I think you just summed it up beautifully. It's helping peel back the layers of the subconscious, the stuff that people don't see, but is very much going on in their inner world, trying to filter out
Mhm.
all the habits, the toxic behaviors, the ingrained patterning, and negative belief systems, so they find their spark again and they can be their true, authentic self. And obviously, you're now holding space for that to happen in your clients, which is beautiful. What would you say made the biggest transformation in your life going through the course personally?
I think for me, it was peeling back those layers to the inner scripts, and starting to really understand what was going on, like you just said, in your subconscious mind, in the beliefs, in our belief system, in our fears, our doubts that are coming up, but we're not aware that that's happening. And so for me, taking myself through that when I was doing the training, because that's another thing to say, when you're doing the training, you're taking yourself through it all.
Yeah,
So that's the beauty as well, which I love. So you go through this whole journey. It's like, oh my gosh, okay. I was like crying on some days. I was like, it was brilliant. I loved it, But yeah, for me, what I would say one of the biggest transformations was really uncovering those inner scripts, those belief systems, those limiting beliefs that have been, and still do in some ways, have been holding me back, or not holding me back, but making me believe a certain thing about my life, and about maybe my behaviors, how I'm acting. It made me understand some of those things, so that I could actually bring awareness to it, and then I could change it. And I have genuinely made some quite big shifts in my reality because of that work. There's
really. Tell
just some things that really stood out for me. Um, yeah, just things about how I show up as a woman, how I'm showing up around other women, my emotional availability for other women. Um, yeah, it's like things like that. I'm seeking out women friendships, and I feel safe around them.
love that.
That I maybe didn't feel that way all my life. There was a lot of competition, a lot of comparing, particularly in corporate world. And I think I've had a lot of realizations and insights come in for me since uncovering some of those inner scripts, that I've realized that a lot really did lead me in certain directions. And I wouldn't change anything, because everything's brought me here. But what I mean by that is it's just an interesting insight as to how I can show up differently moving forward. and how I can build relationships differently, and what sort of community I want around me. Who do I want around me? What kind of relationships? And that's really shifted for me, really shifted,
I love
which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, I love that. And we were just talking before I pressed record about how things have shifted for you in your business, and it's funny because I think about this myself and about my business and how it's run and the energy I have to live off with the business,
Mm.
and where I was when I first started it and prior to that in relationships and business. And I realized that I was coming from a place of insecure attachment in relationships, and that was showing up in my business relationships, because any relationship is a relationship, doesn't need to be intimate with a partner. Business relationships, the women that you meet in coaching, they're all relationships. So understanding what your attachment style is, full stop. Are we in a place of secure attachment, or is it something else? If it's something else, it's about, coaching yourself through the trauma, whatever level that is, to come into a place of secure attachment so you can give and receive and be aware of your triggers, and obviously work through them.
Mm.
And I've found learning that about myself has seriously helped things, and I feel like I can be more consistent with people, have longer relationships with people, rather than it just being a
Yeah,
quick and out thing, done, business track done, yeah, move on, find another one. It's a secure place that
yeah,
you build for yourself. So I totally resonate with what you're saying. So
yeah. I
what's
love that you said that. You said about being more consistent.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that's a really, I resonate with that because I think, yeah, when I think back to me, like, I mean, it's an age thing as well, but maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, when I think back to prior, kind of delving into this work, and I've been on this journey for a good few years now, but really diving into it, yeah, I think back to relationships before and how I'd show up, and yeah, consistent. I like that word. It was inconsistent before, definitely.
inconsistent,
And
yeah.
also it gives me yeah, it's like I was definitely inconsistent in how in my emotional availability to people. Um and oh, I lost my train of thought there. It was I lost it then. But yeah, the inconsistency that is, and the
I
triggers as
Oh,
well, and
triggers, yeah, and the
how
belief
you can
system.
respond to that.
Yeah, and the inner script is part of the work that we do, but understanding the inner scripts, 'cause I used to hear myself, hear my subconscious saying, "You can't do this on your own. You can't do this on your own. This is you're incapable. You can't do it on your own." Because I used to have a tendency to, um, my top priority, my top value was freedom. So I would always
Mm,
need to have that freedom, but that then gave me an instability and consistency. So it
yeah,
was that you can't always be free. You have to commit to something and you have to be consistent in it. So there was like this juxtaposition
yeah,
with values and what I
yeah,
wanted, but then this underlying script saying, you're not capable of doing this on your own. You can't do it on your own. And I was like, no, actually, I can do it on my own. It's okay. I can do this. So there was like all this
yeah,
stuff that was
yeah,
coming up for me through business as well.
definitely.
So many childhood triggers come
Yeah,
up when you become self-employed, right?
definitely, definitely. So many things. Like even just I sort of recognized this like competing belief recently where it was I kind of obviously I wanted the clients to come in. Of course I do. That's my business. But then I sat with it one day and I recognized that actually I didn't, if I really thought about it, there was like a really big self-doubt piece going on for me as well, which clearly conflicts entirely with the fact that I want to bring in clients. But then underneath that, it's like, yeah, but you're actually going to stop yourself bringing in clients because you don't actually believe that you can serve the clients underneath. And it's like this layered thing that for me, it's like the self-awareness piece is just so essential, so critical. And that's what I love about personal development, because the more you sit with yourself, the more things that just come up. Um, but yeah, having the awareness that allows you to then dive a bit deeper on that. Well, where is that taking me? Like, what's the script under that? What's the limiting belief under that? How can I work through it? And I'm all about, taking action, looking forward. I love the inner child stuff as well and looking back. But then I'm also on the flip side of that, very much like, right, okay, so how are we going to break through that? How are we going to move through that? What can I do now that's just going to push me outside of my comfort zone so that we can start to create new evidence that that isn't true, that self-belief, that self-doubt piece isn't real, that's not true for you, so just move through it. I've had a lot of that. I think holding myself back at the maybe last year. So I had a lot, as we said before we hit record. I had Last year was a great year. I learned so much about myself. But I think something that I recognized in myself towards the second half of last year was that I had this like huge fear of rejection. And so I was holding myself back from like putting things out there and offering the things that I wanted to offer and putting the masterclass out there or the program out there. And I would be really procrastinating over doing it. And I realized I sat there one day and I was just like, and it was like my women's circle as well, wanted to do that for so long, but I procrastinated over it. And I think it was maybe when I was really sitting with that and I was like, what's actually going on? And I just unpacked it with myself in my journal and I was like, you've got a huge fear of rejection, like huge. And that's when I recognized it. And that's when I was like, right, we're taking action right now. And within 24 hours, I had this is what I mean, I'm an action girl. I like off the back of like the deep work. Within 24 hours, I had booked and set 2 dates for my women's circle and sent a message out to like 15 women saying, do you want to come? And had like X many responses saying, yes, I'll be there. And I was like, oh, okay. So you did all that
I
in
love
24 hours.
I love
And
that.
you've been procrastinating for how long?
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, isn't it? And sometimes the thing we need to teach is the thing we need to heal. So setting a women's
Yeah.
circle about rejection and abandonment wounds, you sharing your
Mm,
wisdom and speaking of vulnerable, openly about your own vulnerabilities and how you're working through it is so healing for you and for them.
yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a beautiful space. Women's circles, they're so powerful. And I sort of talk about it a lot now. I started mine, but it's like if you don't have one, find one because as you just said, they're such a healing space and they're just a place to share your vulnerabilities, your darkness, your light, just to be witnessed. They're not a place to be fixed. We've got nothing to fix. We're all like, we're all whole, we're all perfect. But it's a place to be vulnerable and to just heal inside for I love it. They're always powerful. We always come away just like I come away like, just feel amazing. I've done three now, and I've got them all scheduled for the sort of going into the year. And every woman who attends and just yeah, we feel united, like as one. The
yeah,
energy that is shared in the room is it just connects us. It really
yeah,
does. And at the end of the circle, like the you can feel the energy in the room.
yeah,
And it's like to me, I'm like, we've all been carrying that around with us individually. And now we've sort of like we've offloaded it. It's there. And it's just gonna like it will disperse and it will go. But I feel like we all walk out feeling lighter. And it's
yeah.
like it's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a connection and it's a love shared as well. And that
Mm.
energy is palpable.
Yeah.
You could actually probably measure that with the right frequency tools. We were talking, and I think it's good to say to people who are, thinking about training to become a life coach, actually the reality of starting your own life coaching business, going from the safety of having a wage, wherever that comes from, corporate or whatever, to then actually going solo and making your skills that you've just trained in a safe space and then taking them into the big wide world and getting paying clients so you feel like you're actually making a living for yourself. People have an expectation, and you said it yourself, your expectation. Well, what was it, and what was the reality of it, and where are you now, and what have you done to change it?
Yeah. So Yeah, so the expectation for me, at least, coming out of a thriving career where I was extremely successful and a lot of money, like all those things, I think I was just like, oh, this will be easy. This will just happen overnight, to be honest, because I kind of have a way of thinking that way, which serves me. It really serves me. Like I'm very positive and optimistic. But sometimes, maybe need to put my feet back on the ground a little bit and feel a bit more grounded. So that's like one part of me. And so that was my expectations. The reality was it wasn't like that. It wasn't that instantaneous. And it's still a work in progress now. Like I'm still finding things that work, working through things that don't work. I think one of the things that's really, but the thing that's working for me right now, let's focus on that, is building my in-person network. And that was something, again, that my fear of rejection probably came into last year, like putting myself out there to the kind of more local community of women. I was, again, probably, definitely, I'll say probably, definitely, afraid of being rejected. And so I kept procrastinating and I held off. And then once I had that realization, that insight came to me, I was like, right, we've got to do what are the things I can do. And like I said, I went all out, did the women's circles. I was like, I need like four other things that I can do to break through this because this is obviously holding me back in a really big way. So first of all, it's having the self-awareness of the things that are going to hold you back. So whatever your limiting beliefs are, your fears, your doubts, like can you recognize what they are because they'll be different for everybody. Um, and the sooner you can get on, in touch with those and bring awareness to those, the sooner you're going to overcome them and break through them. So that was a big thing for me, recognizing that. And that's what I mean. Last year, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot of other things as well, but that was one of the things that really cracked me open towards the end of the year. So then for me, it was building the in-person network. I started going to women's networking events in the area, and I love the synchronicities of this. I had this moment in bed, in my writing in my journal, and within 2 weeks, I found out, didn't know these existed, two amazing women's networking events, networking groups. I had no idea, but we always find what we're looking for, right? So because I brought this self-awareness to it, I was ready to break through. Suddenly, all of this stuff became available. The synchronicities started to just drop into my world. Before you knew it, I was going to an event the next week. I was speaking to somebody else about setting up my own event with them in January. I'd gone from like nothing to
Yeah.
having a women's circle, to having an event booked in January, to meeting all these beautiful new women that I didn't even know in the area who run their own businesses, who were also interested in personal development. All these things just started to crack open once I brought the self-awareness to myself, to my own fears, doubts, beliefs. That was really, really, really critical and like absolutely essential. And that's why doing this work and taking yourself through this work and learning to coach yourself is also so beautiful in terms of the process of just learning and evolving through the program into becoming a coach. So what's working for me right now is definitely the in-person stuff. And then that is boosting and building my online community because then people want to connect with you. They want to engage with you through Instagram or whatever your platform is that you use too. And so it's just like that was like the beginning, that was like the word escapes me, but that was, what kicked it off for me. That was the catalyst, that's the word I'm looking for. The in-person network was the real catalyst to how I'm feeling now. Not feeling now, but the things I'm seeing come into my world now. Um, so the fear of rejection, really recognizing that, bringing self-awareness to that, and then taking action despite it, moving through the fears because they still show up, and
Oh
the
yeah.
fear of rejection still shows up for me, even though I probably uncovered that now about 5 months ago, and I've done loads of things since that have proved to me that have built evidence to me that I'm not going to just be rejected by everybody. Like that isn't real. That's not true. You're not for everyone, but you also are for a lot of people, and that's perfect. Um, but even launching things now and putting things out there, I still have to sit with that. What if no one responds? And do you know what? Yesterday, I actually put out a free masterclass that I'm holding at the end of February, just an online space. Um, And for the first time, I literally had people sign up like that
Love
because my
it.
belief has changed.
Yeah,
I
that's
believed that I knew, like when I was solid, when I was putting that out there, there was no like, oh, is anyone gonna sign up? Like it wasn't like that. It was like, I'm gonna put this out there because I know people want it.
yeah,
And
yeah, and it's
that was
valuable.
my energy. And I know people want it. I know people want to hear about this. I know people want to learn about this. So I'm doing this because, and I'm doing it for free because I want to empower women to, be their best selves. So I was like, let's do this, continue building the community. Like, so, but it goes to show that because I believed it, it like connected
100%. The
the energy
vibration is
that
there.
went into
No
it, the
reason for it not
frequency
to
that I
happen.
was going into it.
Yeah, there's no barrier, there's no reason.
Yeah,
Oh
just
yeah, I really
complete
want that, but
knowledge.
please don't bring me that because it's like, yeah, I'll have that.
There
I
was,
don't
yeah,
mind.
there was no competing belief.
Yeah, love that. That's so
Yeah,
powerful. Well
yeah,
done.
there was no competing beliefs. And it's like, it's so hard to, when you like uncover these things, it's so like, oh, how has that really been holding me back? Could that really have been holding me back? But then you don't realize it until you can remove that, as you say, that barrier and then see the evidence on the other side of it. So I think like, you know, to round that up, is like to really get honest with yourself about what is actually going on internally, because you can say all the things, but if you don't really feel the things and you don't really believe in yourself, that you are going to hold yourself back.
Exactly. What would you say to
Yeah.
people who were thinking about becoming a spiritual life coach, but were a bit like, I'm not sure if I can do it? That's always a big fear for people.
Hmm. So I guess where I would come back to on that is just again getting honest with yourself. What are you passionate about? What feels good to you? Is there resistance there on that? And is it resistance because it's again coming back to your fears, doubts, and beliefs? Or is there more of a soul resistance, as in this is something I've just seen. This is something I've just seen someone else do, and it's a bit like shiny object syndrome. Oh, that looks great. Oh, I'll just give that a crack. Or does it really resonate with you? Does it really feel like this is something that feels really good? Because yeah, really believe in that. It's like tap into your intuition. Can you actually sit with yourself and be honest? Am I does this look great because I've seen someone else do it, or is this what I truly want and I'm truly passionate about? And maybe actually, again, write down what is it that you're passionate about? Why would you do it? Who are the people you'd be serving on the other side? What's your reason for getting into it? Because if I wasn't so passionate about, I mean, maybe there'd be something else, but for me, I'm so passionate about empowering women to overcome their fears, their doubts, their beliefs, really rewrite that for themselves so that they can step into the life that they desire. But if that wasn't there and it was just something I'd seen someone do, I wouldn't be, I just, I would fail. Like I wouldn't be this far. I wouldn't be sitting here.
Would
I would have gone back to
100%.
corporate. I would be doing something else, and I would have done all of that. And I'm not even sure I'd have made it through the program
I
because,
was going to say, you would just not get through the course because it goes so
yeah,
deep. If you are not passionate about finding out about yourself first, uncovering and healing your
yeah,
own beliefs, and then being able to empower other
yeah,
people through your own transformation. If that is not your first and foremost desire to do the training,
yeah,
knowing you can create a business from it,
yeah.
that's secondary in a way. First of all, it's going to take a
It
lot
is.
from yourself personally to take you through this journey, isn't it?
Definitely. It does. It does. It becomes a way of life, I would say, personal. Like I say, yeah, personal. I mean, spirituality definitely becomes a way of life. It's not something I have to think about. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
Um, and personal development. I always say, once you start down this path, if it's for you, there's no turning back. Or if you don't like what you find and you're not willing to uncover it, then you might turn back and you might never come back down it again. But
Yeah.
once you do, if it's for you, it's like something you can't turn away from. So you need to but at that point, if you then still don't have the passion to maybe serve others in the same way, then maybe you just go down your personal development journey. You do a different course, you do a different program where you just learn about yourself, but you're not necessarily doing the coaching because there's loads of that out there, obviously, as well. But it's like, I feel like It's like you just know this is what I want to be doing. This is how I want to be helping and serving other people. Might not just be women, obviously, but for me it
Yeah.
is predominantly. That's my focus certainly at the moment. But you just know it's just in you. I personally, when I was going through the program, I was so excited. Like I was like, right, so can I start tomorrow? And I think I'd done like 2 hours of the course. It was like a 300-hour course. And I was
I
like,
love
oh, I'm so impatient. Like, I literally just want to be writing out there, like, who wants to come and just work with me now? Like, that is how I felt. So if you don't already sort of feel that passion when you see other people doing it, look, at the end of the day, you can Instagram this stuff, you can YouTube this stuff, watching other people doing coaching sessions. It's everywhere if you look for it. And if you don't get excited by that, then it's not for you. But you will know it's just like it just sparks something inside you. And yeah, once that flame's lit, it just gets bigger.
Yeah, thanks, Beth. Been really amazing interview. Where can people find you then if they wanted to work with you?
So you can find me on Instagram. So my Instagram is at I am Rebecca Harrington. I have to remember that because recently got married and I forget what my name is. So changed it. Yeah, at Rebecca. I who am I? At I am Rebecca Harrington.
I think so. Yeah. Well, what we'll do,
All
we'll
of my
post
contact
links.
details are on there.
Yeah. And what we'll do, we'll share this video. I'll put
Yeah,
the
perfect.
links in
Yeah,
there as well. So people will definitely be able to find you.
yeah,
So thank you so much for
yeah.
this gorgeous interview. You're absolutely inspiring so many people. And your posts on social media just light me up. I love seeing them. So well done
Good,
to you.
good.
Yeah.